Production support for the weekly special is provided by
Smithville Communications, serving southern Indiana with high-speed fibre gigabit internet for businesses, hospitals and homes. Smithville Fibre Gigabit Technology. Tap the power.
IU School of Public Health Bloomington, addressing public health needs by preventing disease, promoting health, and improving quality of life across the state and around the world through research, teaching, and community engagement.
IU Credit Union, now offering mobile access to IU Credit Union accounts, helping account holders check balances, transfer funds, and pay bills through their mobile devices. Available through the IU Credit Union apps for iPhone and Droid. The Al Cobine Recognition Endowment Fund, established by friends and family of Al Cobine to support jazz initiatives on WTIU and WFIU. And WTIU members, thank you. Tonight, explore the surprising architectural history across the Hoosier State. Discover one of the first homes in Indiana to be built with electricity. Roam the gardens of Columbus's most powerful family at the Irwin Inn. Relish the modernist aesthetic of the recently opened Miller House. And revel in the architectural wonders of Frank Lloyd Wright's Samara House. From column to cornice, you won't want to miss these Hoosier homes. It's all coming up on this episode of the Weekly Special. Welcome, I'm Erica Sagone. Get ready to explore some of Indiana's most renowned homes. A few months ago, I had the pleasure of visiting one of South Bend's most luxurious homes. Let's take a look back at the Oliver Mansion. We're at the Oliver Mansion. It was built in 1895. Now, since then, it's been impeccably maintained, so you can really get an idea of what life was like here 100 years ago. Christy, tell us, who was lucky enough to call this place home?
Well, this home was built by industrialist J.D. Oliver. He was the director of the Oliver Chilled Plow Works at the time, and he decided that he needed a home that more suited his tastes and his family, and commissioned an architect to build this home.
How did it make the jump to a museum?
Well, unlike a lot of house museums, this only had one family that lived in it. J.D. Oliver had 4 children, and they had decided that when they all passed away, that the house would be given with its contents to a museum. They approached the Northern Indiana Historical Society, which is us, to donate this house. And so pretty much everything in here is just as it was. So if you look at pictures, you know, couch is right here, and these paintings are right where they should be. And that was all meticulously preserved, all the way down to toothbrushes and clothes in the cabinets and, you know, crates of ginger ale in the basement.
And when people are here, they're going to see 38 rooms, 14 fireplaces, and all original furnishings. Tell us about some of the more interesting things that people are going to see when they're here.
Well, some of the really special things about this house include the Tiffany glass windows. We have a lot of leaded glass windows. The architecture of the structure is called Queen Anne Romanesque. So we've got some Romanesque features that are very Gothic, like some crenellations on the outside that you see on castles, but also this great big veranda that wraps around the house like the Queen Anne houses had.
Why do you think it was important to the Oliver family to be able to preserve their history and share it with others?
Well, the Oliver family was actually one of the most important families in the area, and even in the state. J.D. Oliver was the richest man in Indiana, and aside from that, the Oliver family also funded a lot of public works projects. So it's an important reminder to what the family really gave to the city and to the area. It's a great place to learn about history. You can come in and feel like you actually walk right into that time period, which is unusual.
Well, Christy, thank you so much for giving us a glimpse into the Oliver family and their beautiful home. And if you'd like more information on the Oliver Mansion, visit centerforhistory.org for the latest information on tour schedules. While the Oliver family was transforming Indiana in the north, the Irwin family was revolutionizing architecture in the South, starting with their famous gardens.
For over 100 years, the famed Irwin residence has been a staple of downtown Columbus. Built in 1864 by Joseph Irwin, the home remained the primary residence for 4 generations of his family. For the last 2 years, the estate has functioned as a bed and breakfast, revitalizing past memories and creating new ones along the way.
I have a lot of wonderful memories surrounding this family and this house. I remember as a child growing up and going to church, catty corner from here, at First Christian Church, that very often we would come to the gardens, and the family made everyone welcome to do that. They were private people, but yet they shared what they had with the community. And very often there would be tours, either Sunday school tours or school tours, or just an open gate for somebody to come in and think about their lives or look at the beautiful flowers. It's a wonderful place to visit. My feeling is the most interesting part about it is that this was 4 generations of family that maintained things so well. They maintained not just the furnishings and the walls, but they maintained what their commitments were in the community. They maintained their friendships from here. They lived the way they wanted to affect the people around them. They were welcoming, they were thinkers, they were readers, they were musicians. They tried a whole lot of things in their lives, but first and foremost, they cared about the people. And they set a wonderful example not only for their children, but for those people who came in contact with them.
Getting to know Mr. and Mrs. Miller and Mrs. Tangeman, their personality and what they conveyed to you, not in words, but their actions and so forth, that has a great impact on a person. And it had a great impact on me. I had lots of experiences in this job. It wasn't just taking care of a greenhouse and watering plants and petunias and tomatoes. It involved everything else that came along. The greenhouse had a delivery van, and so that was available for any projects that the family might have. One time there was a tree that died over at the library, right next door from here. And Mrs. Miller says, "That tree is dead at the library." I says, I know it, I had my eye on that. I didn't know what we were gonna do about it. She says, "Why don't you just go plant a new tree for him?" And that's really all it took. That the family really appreciated thank you notes. Mrs. Tangeman as well as Mrs. Miller. They were generous with their things, and they didn't want anything else but a good thank you.
They gave back to not only their family and their community and their friends, but nationally and internationally at a time when it wasn't thought of as much as it is today. Probably the most fascinating thing to me as an adult now is that so many decisions were made in this house, probably in the dining room, or maybe in the library, that have affected us all. And I would love to have been a fly on the wall to participate in what was going on.
This is great. This is a bed and breakfast. They can walk into here, and you walk into the 1920s era. It's very well done. It's a wonderful remembrance. It's history. The gardens have been here for a long time, 100 years, and you don't see this anymore. It's a showplace. And this is just one part of things that the Irwin family and the Miller family have contributed to the city of Columbus.
The Irwin Inn is so representative of this family, from my point of view, because it's warm, it's inviting, it's obviously a family home. And even though these people made decisions that affected many people far away from Columbus, Indiana, it has had such an impact on the way we think in this little town. And I happen to think it's a little different here. That we do take care of our own, that the Millers and many other people have set fine examples for us. And I hope that our children will want to carry this on, which I think they do.
You can discover the Irwin Inn and Gardens anytime. Go to irwingardens.com to book a room today. Well, the Irwin family continued their architectural legacy in Columbus, building the historical landmark, the Miller House.
Well, the Miller House isn't the only modernist residence in Columbus. There were some other ones that were built here, a few even earlier. But nationwide, modernism was never a terribly popular style for homes, and certainly not at the level of this one.
In 1953, industrialist and philanthropist J. Irwin Miller commissioned rising star architect Irwin Inn to build his new home.
Some architects really and truly tried to break completely from stylistic historical references, others not so dramatically. Eero Saarinen as an architect is a little harder to categorize because he didn't necessarily adhere to a style that went from building to building to building. He looked at every work of architecture as an individual problem that had a solution that was unique to itself.
The house was inspired by the pioneer of modernist architecture, Mies van der Rohe, and his 1929 World's Fair Pavilion. But Saarinen had the task of making the Miller house a home.
Eero Saarinen took some of those ideas and developed them in different directions to make it possible for those same stylistic elements to serve in a domestic setting that needed to serve the family's functions and needs and purposes. And so there needed to be places to cook and to sleep and all the things that go into family life. The Millers had 5 children, and in that way it differs from a lot of modernist buildings that immediately leap to mind, like the glass house in New Canaan. We're in what's called the children's playroom. This was a space that was meant to be one where they could come together to study, do lessons, to play. The skylight system provides beautiful light in the house, and it crosses the house in a regular grid, and it brings light into even the areas farthest away from the windows. So the house is bright at almost any time of the day, even on a cloudy day like this.
Alexander Gerard, the interior designer for the Miller house, helped bring life to the home with color and texture, often designing his own patterns for the curtains and rugs seen through the house.
He had a playfulness and a whimsical approach to his work that really meshed well with what the Millers wanted to see in their home, and it makes it highly personal that Alexander Gerard liked to take things and customize them, make them special, make them appropriate for a particular commission or client. And you see a lot of that here at the Miller house. And it's, I think, Alexander Gerard's presence within this high modernist interior that reaches out and provides something to people that they can respond to. The conversation pit is always an eye catcher. You can see in a house like this, the walls are marble, the floors are travertine. It's not the sort of space where you can paint the house. And so Mrs. Miller was very interested in ways to keep the house enlivened. You can see that even in the kitchen, it features a rug on the floor that was designed for the space by Alexander Gerard, and beautiful Venetian glass tiles on the backsplash behind the stove adds a really strong note of blue to this space.
The Miller house is an impressive balance of the clean geometry of modernism and the bright color of domestic life.
It's a beautiful house all around. It's been my great pleasure to show this house to people for the first time, and the comment that I get most often is that people feel that, although it is a modernist building and it's got a lot of those typical hard surfaces and stone, steel, that it has a real warmth to it in the decoration, and people respond strongly to that. They feel it's a livable modernist building. For the fan of modernist architecture, don't miss the Miller house because it rates at the top.
And you can explore the Miller house yourself. Visit imamuseum.org for hours and directions. Finally, who knew that the architectural genius Frank Lloyd Wright built a home right here in Indiana? That's right. Explore the Samara home in West Lafayette.
Frank Lloyd Wright was an American architect and interior designer who designed more than 1,000 projects. Wright promoted organic architecture exemplified by Falling Water, the home built in the middle of a Pennsylvania creek bed. His work included original and innovative examples of many different building types, including a home built for John Christian and his wife in West Lafayette, Indiana.
How did we first meet Frank Lloyd Wright? We met after I made a telephone conversation to his office in 1950, and I was surprised he himself answered the phone because he had 3 secretaries and over 50 young apprentices working for him. He was always very gracious, accommodating. You understand that we met him first in 1950, and by this time he's 83 years old. So he perhaps has mellowed somewhat. Anyway, we found him very enjoyable to work with, and we often went up to his home in Taliesin, Spring Green, Wisconsin, and he and his wife were a wonderful host and hostess.
After interviewing Mr. Wright and several other architects in Chicago, the Christians decided Wright was their man. It was time to move ahead with plans for the house.
We told him that we were not in any hurry for the plans. He took that to heart, because it's 5 years before we got any plans from Mr. Wright. He very consciously requested us to prepare a document indicating what we thought we wanted in our home. And he took that, plus our conversations with him over that 5-year period, and designed the house. He's very accommodating in listening to our suggestions.
But like most married couples just starting out, what the Christians wanted and what they could afford were two different things.
He soon learned in our discussions, of course, that we had limited funds. And he said, I will design you what he called an affordable house. What he thought was affordable wasn't necessarily what the clients thought was affordable. It's built in what he named the Houstonian style. The Houstonians were designed to be affordable, and they are relatively smaller, and he called them Houstonian, which means United States of North America.
Mr. Wright often named his projects, like Eagle Feather in California and Snowflake in Michigan. The West Lafayette, Indiana property was no exception.
Mr. Wright named the house Samara, S-A-M-A-R-A, and most people don't know what that means. And we didn't either. We were sort of embarrassed. He asked us, and we had to tell him we didn't know. He said, well, maybe you better look it up, because it's going to be the name of your new home. It's named after the winged seeds that come from pine cones. And he then used that. He made an artistic drawing of his concept of what a winged seed in motion looked like, and used that throughout the house as the motif. You see it in the living room rug, right down here on the floor.
Even though Mr. Christian still lives in the house, with proper arrangements, tours are available.
Mostly, people that visit are highly interested in his innovative architectural designs. For example, here in this room, the living room, there are over 40 of his innovations. For example, the heat is in the floor, called radiant heat, and it's accomplished by copper pipes embedded in the concrete, and you circulate warm water, which heats the floor, and the floor then becomes the source of heat for the space. He innovated what we call mitered glass corners. The glass is beveled into 45-degree angles and then sealed together. And so it opens up the space to the outside. As far as we know, it's the only house that he designed where he worried about where the TV would be and how it would work. We had to tell him we didn't have a TV, that we were saving our money to build the house. And he liked that. And he said, well, you will have. He said, you'll have 2 or 3 of them. And I look around this room and you wonder, where is the TV? It's not visible. In Mr. Wright's words, he said the TV should be hidden when it's not in use. because it's architecturally terrible. Doesn't fit in with my architecture. Should be hidden. And standing behind his desk, he very emotionally said, if you want to see where the TV is, then you have to throw up your arms and say, "Open Sesame." So when I threw up my arm, we'll all say, "Open Sesame." Let's try it. "Open Sesame." Well, I didn't hear very much. Wasn't very loud. Let's do it now like a bunch of 10-year-olds. Okay? Let's try it. "Open Sesame." Now here he is. Mr. Wright is 88 years old. He's worrying about the TV, where it should be, and how it should work. And we don't even have one. That's innovation.
Mr. Wright's designs were known to include items down to the finest detail.
He designed all the furniture and almost every other detail you see in the house. He designed the fabrics. The fabrics were all his design. He designed the lights, and he even designed the landscaping. This is considered to be the only house that has a copper fascia all around the roof line of the house. It's three-dimensional takeoff of his Samara design. And because it's three-dimensional, it casts shadows all the way around the house, which then gives different shapes, geometric shapes on the ground. As the sun moves, the shadows move.
Although the relationship the Christians had with Mr. Wright seemed to move the building process along, there were differences along the way.
My favorite story about Mr. Wright involves this room. I had gotten the final plans, and we had just been married, had limited resources, which you understand means we didn't have any money. I studied the plans over and over again, trying to figure out how I could afford to build this house. And I got the idea that I could cut 4 feet off this living room. So I telegrammed him and asked him if he could do that. And he telegrammed back, and he said, "I've never yet seen a living room too large. Yours, if anything, is too small." That was his answer. Frank Lloyd Wright.
Even with those differences, the Christians realized the significance of working with Frank Lloyd Wright as their architect.
We began to realize very early on that here was a man that was considered by many as the world's greatest architect. And that must be true because he himself said he was the world's greatest architect. Sort of egotistical, but he always said that. And so we decided at that time that we would follow his plans with the greatest detail that we possibly could, because we felt that it might have historic significance, which it does now. It's recognized on the National Register of Historic Places.
So after a lifetime of living in their Wright-designed home, the Christians found a way to ensure its maintenance and legacy well into the future.
My wife and I set up a tax-exempt corporation. That corporation will eventually own the house. And written into the bylaws, that their obligation will be, first of all, to maintain the house. Because if it's not maintained, it won't be useful for anything. And the second objective is to continue the educational program that we have started. And that's now been in operation for 18 years. And we know it works, and quite comfortable with what will happen to the house in the future. It will be maintained and the program continued ad infinitum, who knows, maybe 100 or more years.
Go see Frank Lloyd Wright's house yourself. For more information, visit samara-house.org. Well, that's all the time we have tonight. Get out and explore some of these beautiful destinations and join us again next week for more fabulous Hoosier stories. Thanks again for joining us.
Production support for the weekly special is provided by
Smithville Communications, serving southern Indiana with high-speed fiber gigabit internet for businesses, hospitals and homes. Smithville Fiber Gigabit Technology. Tap the power.
IU School of Public Health Bloomington, addressing public health needs by preventing disease, promoting health, and improving quality of life across the state and around the world through research, teaching, and community engagement.
IU Credit Union, now offering mobile access to IU Credit Union accounts, helping account holders check balances, transfer funds, and pay bills through their mobile devices. Available through the IU Credit Union apps for iPhone and Droid. The Al Cobine Recognition Endowment Fund, established by friends and family of Al Cobine to support jazz initiatives on WTIU and WFIU. And WTIU members, thank you.